Whistle Down the Wind is a British drama directed by Bryan Forbes, released in 1961.
Yeah, it's the story mainly focuses on three kids, siblings, two sisters and a little brother, and they live on a farm in Lancashire, in the north of England, and it starts off with them rescuing some kittens that have been chucked in a lake by I think it's the farmhand, isn't he, on their farm?
Yeah.
And they rescue them. I mean, why throwing? I guess that's what you did back in the 60s, isn't it? Don't want some kittens, chuck them in the lake. So, but yeah, they rescue them and they take them back to the barn on the farm. And then the next day they check on them and bring them some food. And there's a guy in there, this man, and he's a bit worse for wear. He's kind of out of it. And they wake him up a bit, and he goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ." Like he's in pain, and then he kind of falls back asleep again, and that prompts them to think that he is actually Jesus Christ. I think when they took the kittens back, I can't remember why, but they start talking about Jesus, don't they?
They do, yeah.
And I think one of them, I think the eldest sister says, so I can't remember what the conversation is, but they go, "Oh, you mustn't say that. Jesus will come and tell you off," or something like that. And then of course this guy turns up, and she immediately thinks it's Jesus come to tell her off. So they keep it a secret, and they bring him food, and this barn isn't used very much, so that's how they manage to hide him. I mean, they do move a cow in there, I think, at some point, so a vet can visit, but they manage to hide him under some straw for the duration of that, it's that's basically the story, that he's them believing this guy is Jesus. He doesn't quite realise that that's what they think at first. He's a bit bemused as to why they're helping him. And we slowly start to find out a little bit more about him, not through the kids or anything that he says, but from what's going on in the town. And I don't know, we probably won't go into any more than that, because you get a bit too deep into the plot.
Yeah.
It's better to have that revealed yourself if you watch it. And it's kind of, it's about, faith and belief, I suppose, isn't it? And how much it takes for people to have that kind of blind belief in things.
Yeah, exactly. So we chose to do it today because it is Good Friday today.
Yep.
And we're not personally religious people, but it's an interesting subject. For me, it's a film that I watched when I was very young. It's one of my mum's favourite films. So I was kind of sat down in front of the TV when I was about 8 years old and shown it. And she's also someone who's always kind of questioned religion, as I have too. But it's not. The film's not questioning religion and whether it's real or not. It is about the kind of children's belief in it.
Yeah.
And it's really the divide between being a child and having imagination and being creative, and being an adult. Because all the adults in it are very cagey about it. So when they're asked questions about certain things, they'll either change the subject, or they're very kind of scarce about what's going on.
There's a scene at Sunday school, isn't there? And every time the woman that's taking the session is asked anything slightly difficult, she kind of deflects and doesn't really answer it properly, because she doesn't know what to say.
And they ask her what would happen if Jesus Christ came back today, and she's like, well, he'd noticed that things were different, TV and things like that, and the kids are like, no, what would the adults do to him? Because of course, back in the Bible, they persecuted him. Would they So I think it shows that the children are actually not the naive ones. They're really bright, and they understand what's going on around them, and they want to question it. But it's a really good film. It's actually, I think, if you can compare it to anything in British children's terms, would be maybe The Railway Children. But that's quite light and fluffy. This is quite dark. I mean, it's filmed in black and white. Obviously, we were in a time where colour did exist.
Yeah.
I think they filmed it in black and white for that purpose, to keep it quite dark and edgy. And of course, set in the north of England, which is always a bit bleak
sometimes,
and dark, and it's not very wet in this film. but it's interesting actually watching it from now in 2018. There's a scene, and I won't talk too much because it's near the end. But there's a scene where they have to, make a phone call, and now we just pick up our mobile phone. There they have to, run into the town because they don't have a phone in their house, and then the post office, I think, or the shop that has the phone is closed because they close early on a Wednesday or whatever it was. And I mean, I think it really shows how far we've come, technology-wise.
And the eldest sibling, played by Hayley Mills, she goes out to the barn to visit Jesus. But she tells her, I think that she lives with her father and her aunt, doesn't she?
That's right.
She tells her aunt that she's going to the toilet, but to do that, she has to put her coat on and go outside.
Exactly.
So that's how she gets away with it. Those were the days.
They were the days indeed. Yeah. So, but no, yes, you're right. So the oldest girl was Hayley Mills, and it was actually the film was based on a novel that was written by her mum.
Yeah.
Mary Hayley Bell, I think that was her name, and quite a big family because her father was John Mills, the British actor. I mean, the whole film. So the film was directed by Bryan Forbes and was produced by Richard Attenborough. I mean, you know, these are the kind of big British cinematic legends. I mean, Bryan Forbes made things like The Stepford Wives, the original one, in the 70s. He was an actor previously. He did quite a few kind of war films in the 40s and 50s. I think he worked quite a lot with Richard Attenborough. He did another really good film called The Seance on a Wet Afternoon, which is a kind of supernatural thriller. Quite an interesting filmmaker. He died a couple of years ago. And in the main cast, I mean, you've got Hayley Mills is the older child. Bernard Lee, who we all know and love from James Bond.
Yeah, played M several times. Yeah,
he did. He's the father. It's quite a small cast, but then Jesus Christ is played by Alan Bates, who is also now deceased. I think most of the people in this film, apart from the children, have all passed away. Alan Bates, of course, I mean, he was in Ken Russell's Women in Love. And then before he died, he was in Gosford Park, things like that. Really, you know, really great British actor. Did a few things with Harold Pinter. The Caretaker is a really good film he was in. So it's a really good cast. The children also are really great, especially the small boy, played by Alan Barnes, who I think did one more film and then just, you know, didn't do acting anymore. He kind of steals the entire film. Yeah, he's really rude to his sisters, which is hilarious. And he's got some wonderful lines in there as well. And in fact, there's a really great, one of my favourite, and also one of my mum's favourite scenes, is the bit where, well, I won't say that because that might give it away, but when they speak to the vicar in the cafe, which is just a really, I mean, that's if you want to, you know, questioning religion and faith and all that, that's a really wonderful moment. So yeah, I mean, and you'd never seen it before.
I hadn't seen it before. No. I'd heard of it, but no, I'd never watched it. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I watched it with my kids. You know, sometimes they sit through stuff. Sometimes they won't sit through Star Wars, but they sat through this. So that is a testament to how good it is. They were, they didn't wander off. They sat and watched it, and I think it's definitely to do with the kids. You know, how they were just glued on what they would do. You know, because obviously they can relate to them, and even though it was black and white, they still didn't put them off.
Well, that's great. That's good news.
I mean, to me, when I was watching it, what it reminded me of slightly was E.T. Because in the same way that they hide Jesus, Elliot and his siblings hide E.T.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point. Yeah,
and I kind of saw a few parallels with that. So, and my kids enjoy watching E.T. as well.
That's interesting. That's pretty. I never thought of that actually, because obviously, I mean, the film
and the adults, they don't. All the kids are like in wonderment about E.T., but the adults are like, let's test, experiment on him and things like that.
The film is allegorical. I mean, it is. There's lots of tales of the whole story of Christ in there. I mean, lots of bits that come up in the Bible come up in this film, and I guess because Spielberg films are quite got that faith.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, not overly in your face. No. And there's certain scenes in this which I think you certainly pick from the Bible, and won't say them because that will give it away. But that's a great comparison. I never thought that myself before. But yeah, great. But you can get it if you want to see it, and I recommend you do. I mean, like it's because it is a family film. I mean, if you do have a family and you've not seen it, I mean, we are going back 50, 60 years maybe now. So it is quite an old one, but it's a good old one. And I also actually, because I'm always quite. I was reading. There's a Time Out. I've got 100 great British films, and this is not in it. And I'm surprised because this one seems to get missed off a lot of lists, and I think it's one of Britain's good, really good films. But you can watch it. I've got it on DVD, just a British release DVD of it. I don't think it's not on Blu-ray.
No, I couldn't see any other releases. No,
which is a shame because they've done a lot of old British films onto Blu-ray. So someone needs to come along and do this.
It's the type of thing you would think like the BFI or somebody might pick up and.
I'm surprised they haven't. So BFI or even Criterion.
There's always complicated rights with all these things, though, isn't there? So who knows? But
who knows? Indeed, that's true. But no, it's definitely worth checking out. There's obviously there's actually a commentary on this one by Hayley Mills. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever listened to that. So
check it out.
I shall check that one out. But yeah, if you don't know it, we recommend it. And if you have seen it, we'd love to leave us a comment and we'll have a chat with you about it.
Share your thoughts.
Yeah, see what other films you can compare it to. Because there's also another one called Spirit of the Beehive, which is a Spanish film, which is where children find a man in a barn and they think he's Frankenstein.
Ah, right.
So I think that was kind of influenced by this one as well. So maybe there are other films out there that this either inspired or,
Could be.
Other faith-based films you could think of. No, don't, because we're not really into faith-based films. This is not a faith-based film. But, yeah, so that was Whistle Down the Wind.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video and leave us a comment if you'd like, or do the other things we
subscribe
recommend.
And like and
check us out on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
Which we're not. Well, we never use Facebook anymore.
Oh, no, I did. I did it today.
Did you?
I shared some of our videos. So no, I'm trying to get more active on Facebook.
Okay,
but yeah, we're on both. So join us on there and message us or whatever you want to do on there.
Yep.
Interact.
Indeed.
With social media.
Yeah.
Or whatever I'm talking about.
Exactly.
But the main thing is, thanks for watching.
Indeed.
And listening to our witterings.
Yeah.
And have a wonderful Easter.
Don't eat too many chocolate eggs.
No.
Well, do if you want. It's fine. It's okay. We won't tell you off for that. But enjoy the if you're in Britain, you get 4 days off work.
You do.
I don't, because I have to work all weekend.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah. But it's all good. And we'll see you next time for another one.
Yeah.